And we've been playing your music for ages. I really must say that it's a pleasure having you here tonight. Welcome to Morrison, also Mac Rabenak. Welcome, Mac. The first question I'd like to ask about this album, what was the thing that actually brought you two together to sort of co-produce the album? How did that come about, this liaison between the two of you?
Well, see, I was like going along the freeway one day, and I saw this sign up for, it was like an advertisement, and it was about ball bearings, and it kind of sprung off another idea about, you know, how to put ball bearings in
Fine.
methylated spirits, and led me to my work at the laboratory with Mr. Peabody, and I got a call from Mac while I was doing the experiment. And there was 24-track tape in this truck, you see. And we shipped it to the Black Forest in Germany and decided that we would do an album.
Fine. One of the things that comes out, and this our first meeting, is that humour is something that is very rare in your lyrics. Yeah, that is something that is certainly with you. That doesn't come out much in your lyrics.
Yeah.
Except, in fact, something I'm going to play later.
I'm not funny at all. Yeah.
Let's go back to a fairly early Van Morrison thing, some music from them, in just a minute. Because I really would like to ask you, I've got to get out of my system, it's doing a lot of the research on you. You rarely give interviews, you rarely do radio programs or grant interviews to the music papers. And ever since the very beginning of your career, a whole sort of mystique has built up around you, which, because you rarely give interviews and rarely talk to people, is something that is very, very strong. You obviously are aware of the mystique. Is it something that you now want to break down by coming out? I know you've been doing today all of the rock papers and the pop papers.
I don't want to do anything. I mean, what I'm doing tonight, or right now, is I'm doing this interview for promotional purposes. It's no more, no less than that.
Just purely promotional purposes?
Yes.
So that, I mean, if I was to, or if any interviewer was therefore to ask you about your history, you know, where you've
Well, you know, it's just like, you know, there's an album out, and, you know,
but
I'm available for talking.
I mean, this seems a slight dichotomy for you, because you've been ripped off a great deal, I suppose, by the music business and various people within the business. And the industry itself is something that you've shied clear of. You know, talking about product, you don't make product, you make albums of music. And it seems slightly strange that now you're caught up in the sort of rock biz syndrome of when you've got a new album to promote, that you do a promotional tour. It doesn't seem like the Van Morrison that one thinks about.
Well, what is the Van Morrison that one thinks about?
Well, that's what I'm trying to find out now.
I've done promotion before. I mean, I've done radio promote. I've talked on radio. You know, I've done interviews. I mean, there seems to be this kind of myth about a myth, you know, like I put an album out and I set up in the woodshed or something, you know. I mean, I've done this stuff before. I've done this all my career. So what's unusual about it? There's nothing new about this, what I'm doing.
It just seems unusual that you're sort of treating that new album as sort of a piece of product, really.
Well, it is a piece of product.
Yeah, well, that's something that one doesn't associate with you. That an album is not a piece of product.
Why not? I mean, how come you don't? I mean, I don't know what the question is.
Well,
I've done this before.
All right.
And
But you don't do it with amazing regularity, and because you don't do interviews regularly.
That's wrong. I've toured. I tour. I do interviews. I tour, and I do all that. I've done all that.
Can I take you back to what happened before this album came out? There was the legendary sort of Crusaders album that never made it, and there were lots of legendary albums.
There was no legendary Crusaders album. I got Joe Sample for a session. There was no Crusaders album. I mean, I don't know why people are constantly making up stories, about moves I'm supposed to be making that I'm not making.
Well, there were lots of stories about this album, Period of Transition, not actually coming out because there were so many rumors before about it. I mean, were there any specific albums before this?
If you believe like 1% of what you read and maybe 5 of what you hear.
I'm asking you.
Asking me what?
I'm asking you, were there any albums before the Period of Transition album?
Well, I'm constantly recording, I mean, I've been recording for 12 years, 13 years, maybe 14 years. I'm constantly recording. There's stuff in the can. There's tracks here. There's tracks there. I mean, this is nothing special.
What do you mean doing this interview?
Huh? Nothing special that I cut some stuff in the last year. I've been cutting stuff for 14 years. What's special about that?
Well, people do tend to build up, because we've had to wait a long time for a period of transition. I think people built up a sort of, once again, the mystique around you. That there were these albums.
Well, there's no mystique around me. I mean, the only thing that's around me is this microphone. Max here, Harvey's here, Pete Johnson from Warner Brothers, you're here. There's things up on the wall, there's tapes here.
There's a lot of people at the other end of the microphone.
And I can't see no mystique anywhere.
No, you are for real. Let me, I'd like to play in just a minute something that came out, well, I don't know actually whether I've got it. Oh, you see it. Mechanical Bliss, which is something that Harvey played me, your illustrious manager played me some time ago, which I believe is coming out as a B-side of a new single, right?
Yeah, it's the B-side of Joy's Sign, which is the new single.
Unfortunately, the quality of this is not that good, and I don't mean the recording, the actual recording quality. We had to take off a cassette, and I put it onto a sort of cartridge loop. So the quality is not that good. There's a bit of hiss on it, but we'll have a listen to Mechanical Bliss, which is a slightly different Van Morrison, in just a minute. Listening very intently to that. Sorry about the quality, as I said, it was taken off a cassette, so it'll be out in about 3 weeks, right? It's a double A-side with Joyous Sound?
Yeah.
Is that right, from the album? Presumably it wasn't Ball Bearings, wasn't Ball Bearings and Methylated Spirit that was the inspiration behind that.
It was the Meat Factory.
Sorry?
The Meat Factory.
Meat Factory?
Yeah.
Where?
You know where they took out the bacon out? They took out the halves of the car, the halves of the cars.
Yeah.
With had like hooks, and they used to hang up split the cars in half and hang them up, and then they used to take them upstairs.
And that's Mechanical Bliss?
That's it.
Oh. Very different for you. As I said, that is a rare piece of Van Morrison humour, which is something that is not very evident on a lot of your work.
Yeah, recording-wise, but I used to be in a band, actually, and we did comedy. I was in a show band. It was an Irish show band, actually.
Yeah, but comedy in recent years is not something that you're sort of noted for. And this is a very different, different sort of sound for Van Morrison. I understand at one stage that you didn't want that released. Is that right? But you decided against it and then you changed your mind again.
No, that's not true.
That's not true.
No.
Fine. It's fine. It's Capital, 194 meters medium wave, and in stereo 95.8. When in doubt, give an ident. Back in just a second with something from Astral Weeks. I think it's true to say it's still my favourite Van Morrison album, Astral Weeks in the beginning. How long is it since you actually heard that on record?
Since I've heard it?
Yeah.
So I've heard it on the radio, I think, recently.
What are your feelings, I mean, listening back to it in a sort of studio atmosphere, listening back to that now?
Well, I just have kind of pictures of doing it, you know, sitting in the booth, doing the song.
Because it was made very quickly, and apparently, is it true to say that it was all sort of decided up front what you were going to do with that album?
No.
It's not true.
No, it wasn't decided up front. It was just decided a couple of days before we did the session, actually.
How much artistic control did you actually have over that album?
Artistic control?
Yeah.
Very little. Very little. I just went in and did it. And the producer got the musicians.
Do you remember though when it came out that all the critics sort of just went bananas over it and said it was a work, quote, a work of genius, unquote? Do you remember what your reactions were at that time?
Absolutely right.
Subtle. From a period of transition. What's that one all about?
Oh, it's kind of just like about, you know, when you kind of meet somebody and you kind of have a rapport with them, you know. It's, you know, I mean, you just met them 5 minutes and you got a rapport with them.
A heavy connection.
Yeah.
When the album first came out, a lot of the critics didn't really give it the acclaim that perhaps you would have liked. I suppose you would describe yourself as being a sensitive person.
Which one? This one? When this one came out?
When this one came out, yeah. Would you describe yourself as being sort of sensitive to the critics?
No.
You didn't read any of the reviews?
No. See, none of that has got anything to do with what you're doing. You know, I mean, it doesn't make any difference either way. I mean, you're just doing your gig. You know, if you're a musician, you're playing music, or singer, you're singing. And whether somebody says it's rubbish or it's great, you know, it doesn't really make that much difference.
Because you are getting into slightly different areas, especially with Mac. And in fact, my apologies, Mac, because we haven't sort of brought you into this yet. But you are getting, is this an association between the two of you that is just sort of a one-off thing? Or can we expect a greater association between Mac and Dan in the future? Mac?
Well, I hope so. I feel like we struck on some nerves, and I'm sure we'll find some new ground to devour.
What about your own solo career, Mac? Is there an album coming from you? I mean, a solo thing coming
Well,
from you?
hopefully not another bootleg one, but all things are possible, and right now I'm not particularly looking to make a record or anything. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, okay. But I'm just interested in making some music, and right now it's making some music with Van, and that's what's happening.
All right, so Van, as far as you're concerned, you see this as a sort of not just a one-off.
Yeah, I could see us doing some other recording, some more recording. Yeah.
One of the
lots of things.
One of the questions that is an obvious thing to ask, and I'm going to ask it anyway, is about live performances, because you haven't done any gigs here in London for a long time. Can we expect in the future to see Van Morrison doing some gigs?
Well, I don't know. It seems like everyone is using the word expect, you know, consistently using that word expect, right?
Can we look forward to?
Or looking, it's the same thing, you know. When you expect that, you know, it puts a whole other angle on things, because you're always disappointed. If you expect something, you'll be grossly disappointed. What I'm doing at the present time is, I don't know. I'm just getting together, I'm playing music, and if the vibes are right, we'll do some gigs. I'm not expecting anything out of it. You know, if it happens, it happens. If we get off, that's good.
I think what I actually meant by expect is that I think a lot of your fans, the people who buy your records, the people who like the music that you play, are expecting and looking forward to the time when you can, get up on the stage again? And the longer, presumably, that you leave it, the more they will expect it.
I don't have an answer for that.
But you are, if time is right, if the things are right, then you will do a gig.
Well, I just want to kind of play music and enjoy playing, if possible. Enjoy it and keep doing it, and that's all I know.
Okay. Back in a sec with a track from St. Dominic's Preview. Jackie Rosa said from St. Dominic's Preview. Am I right in thinking that St. Dominic was the main institutor of the Spanish Inquisition? And where did you...
I'm just finding out about it myself, actually.
Where did you... Because there are lovely stories about where you got the inspiration for the name of the album.
Well, it was one of the songs on the album.
Yeah, but I mean the actual title and the name of the song.
I was born with a natural gift to play music and to write songs. It's a natural gift, and that's all I know.
That's it?
That's all I know. The rest of this stuff, I haven't got a clue what it's about.
Van Morrison, thank you for coming in. I wish you luck with the album.
Right.